Hello, everybody, and welcome to the FBA Season 5 Draft Analysis. I'm Noah, and I'm here with Kevin. Hello.
Hey, what's up, guys?
And just ignore this big Play Pokemon banner at the top. We didn't really have anything else to put there. So we're going to start. The first team we have is the Galveston Garchomps. They have Garchomp, Conkeldurr, Toxtricity, Vaporeon, Lucario, Ludicolo, Magmortar, Luxray, Mega Altaria, and their Z captain is Miss Magius. Do you want to start, Kevin, or do you want me to start?
You can start.
All right, so the team is. Let me just say real quick. As we go along, I'm going to be putting like little markers next to each team to indicating what I think they are in relation to the other teams. Like the best team will get ranking 1, then ranking 2, and so on. So Galveston Garchomps. It seems like they're definitely going for a more balanced team. Their defensive core, they have Vaporeon. Vaporeon's only really strictly defensive Pokemon. They also have Altaria, which could be a bit more defensive with a bulky Roost set. Also, Dragon Dance Roost is very viable. He could be running Fizdef, Rocky Helmet Garchomp. Even AV Ludicolo is something that I've seen run before. But overall, Vaporeon is his Spidef wall. He doesn't really have any other dedicated walls. So it seems like it's kind of a bouncy team with a lot of slow Pokemon, but it doesn't really have that much of a good core. Its strengths, though, is that it does have some powerful Pokemon. Mega Altaria is really good on this team, I think. Its versatility fits the team perfectly. It can be a bulky Dragon Dance Roost set, or it could be a Heal Beller, while also just being a Dragon Dance physical or mixed attacker sweeper. So the main threats, so Altaria is its main physical threat, which pairs really well with Toxtricity, as Toxtricity is a special threat. Toxtricity, of course, a lot of times struggles against either ground or steels types because they resist both of it, or they are immune to its stabs. Altaria doesn't do particularly well against either of these. It struggles against steels. Luckily, it does have Garchomp and Conkeldurr, though, to break that weakness of those two. So overall, I think its defensive core is lacking. Its speed tiers are decent with a lot of slower Pokemon like Conkeldurr. But I think offensively, it does a really good job having like a physical and a special breaker, and then having Pokemon like Conkeldurr and Garchomp as other breakers that help assist those two in breaking their defenses or breaking their weaknesses. What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, I think you covered it pretty well. I mean, there's a lot of really good offensive and defensive options here. I'm personally I think like Conkeldurr and Toxtricity paired together are like really good breakers.
Yeah.
Only thing lacking would be like a really good speed tier, but I guess like Miss Magius covers that sort of.
Yeah, definitely.
But it has like the 110 speed, and then Garchomp has like the 102. So like that's pretty good, but I think you still like lose to like really fast revenge killers.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as you said, I do like Miss Magius as the Z captain pick. I think that was a very strong pick. It's relatively offensive and it has a really good speed tier. But yeah, it just doesn't. It's overall, its main weakness is not being fast enough and not having a good defensive core, I'd say, right?
Yeah.
All right. So overall, out of all the teams, I mean, right now it's gonna be ranked number 1 because it's the only one we've reviewed. But of course, as we go along, we're gonna be changing that probably. All right, Kevin, do you want to alternate who starts, or do you just want me to start every time? I couldn't care less.
Yeah, I'll go. Okay. So we're doing like going down, right? So Dresner Dusclops.
Yeah.
Okay, I like this team a lot just because it's pretty cool in my opinion. I don't know how balanced it is, but I think Sun with Mega Doom, Maractus, and Heliolisk is a really cool pairing. Definitely underrated, and definitely refreshing from the typical like Torkoal, Darmanitan 10 or Victini pair.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And he's got the good speed tiers. I mean, Maractus has Chlorophyll, and he's got like Lego. In terms of defenses, like Torkoal and Rodriguez serve as really good defensive options. I think Primarina and Mew could also, and Nihilego, I guess, can be good, especially defensive options. So, pretty good team. Definitely seems like a lot more offensive, especially with like Mian Chao and shit like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely a more offensive-oriented team. Like, as you said, the Mega Houndoom plus Torkoal is obviously very strong. There isn't... I can't think of any Pokemon off the top of my head that's just, like, a guaranteed good, reliable switch into Mega Houndoom in the sun, because that thing hits so powerfully with its solar power. He has good speed tiers as well, having Nihilego, which is pretty fast. He has Torn, who can actually technically. I know Torn gets rain dance. Does he get Sunny Day? Do you know, Kevin?
I don't know actually. I mean, probably it would make sense, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. He
I
actually
know,
has
I know
Maractus.
Maractus gets Sunny Day.
Yeah, Maractus also has it has chlorophyll, right? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Heliolisk is a very interesting pick. Usually, oh, actually, it gets solar power, right? So it can be seen on either. I was gonna say it's on range teams, but it can be seen on either, right? With solar power or a dry skin. Um, Mian Shao is another really fast pick. Uh, I think his team overall is really strong. A lot of times for offensive picks, you're going to want some sort of pivoting, and he has U-turn on Mian Shao. He has potentially Volt Switch on Heliolisk, U-turn on Torn, um, and he also has Mew to top it off, which is really versatile. I'm not sure how good Mew would be on this kind of team. I feel like Mew's a bit better on either stall or usually bounced, bulky offense teams. Um, if you look at anyway, in terms of offensive breaking, if you look at Torkoal and Houndoom, I mean the main weakness I guess would be water types, even though Houndoom still probably will shred through them. Primarina is a good switch into those. It's really especially bulky, and usually water types are especially attacking. Can maybe hit it with a Moonblast. He doesn't really have a grass type. Or he has Maractus. Maractus is pretty good. He also has Heliolisk to break waters.
Are you talking shit to Maractus?
I kinda, yeah. I think overall, his biggest strengths are the fact that he has very good breakers. I think Mega Houndoom and Nihilego as special breakers, pair with Mienshao as physical breakers. All right. I think the biggest thing he has going for him is speed tiers and pivoting, as well as his breakers. Biggest weakness is actually I would like to see a bit more physical breakers besides Mienshao. Mienshao has more of a pivot. Maybe he could even be bulky with the Salt Vest. And also a grass type would be nice. If you had something like Kartana, that'd be really good on this team. I feel like the biggest weakness is I don't think he made that much use of his tier 1. I feel like Mew's good, but I don't know if it'd fit on this team. But I personally don't have that much experience with Mew, so I guess we'll kind of have to see what he does, because Mew's obviously very versatile. So we'll kind of have to see what he does with Mew. Maybe that could end up making it better. But I'd say overall, I would probably say it's better than the first team. Would you agree? Kevin?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, both teams are, I'd say, they're both about average, but I just like how Dresner Dusclops is sticking to its offensive pressure and has a relatively good offensive core. And, the other team previously didn't really have that much of a good defensive core, and even though it's kind of a more bulky offense team. All right, so I'm going to start on the next team. We got Evansville and Polions. I like this team for the most part. I feel like it's very similar to Galveston Garchomps, where they have a mainly offensive-oriented team with some bulky offense assets, like Porygon and even Megalodi to some extent. I think overall, this team, actually, out of both teams we've seen so far, has the best synergy with breakers. It doesn't have a grass type, but it does have a fire water core in terms of offense. Oh, sorry, it does have a grass type. It's superior.
That's Serp.
Yeah. He has, as a physical breaker, is Darm, especially as Serp, and Serp obviously has a really good speed tier. He has Greninja, which could usually special. Of course, it could be physical as well. It's Protean, right? I think we allow Protean.
Yeah, we allow Protean.
Yeah. Those three paired are really good. There isn't, I can't really think of much that can wall. There definitely isn't something that can wall all three of them. It's probably even going to be hard to find something that can wall two of them combined. And as well, he also has Thunderous, which is also really good offensively. Fire, Water, Grass is the typical core, but a lot of times it's using electric type thrown in there because those can super affect flying types, which grass types struggle with. Aerodactyls also has a good speed tier. It can help set up rocks. He has Megalodi, which I think is really nice. I feel like his main strategy is going to be just breaking shit with Darm, Serp, and Greninja, maybe even Phalanx, and then trying to end game Calm Mind sweep with Mega Lodi. Is that Latios or Latios? I can't tell. I think it has red eyes. I think that means it's Latios. But yeah, I think overall it's a very strong team. It doesn't have that much of a defensive backbone like the previous team we just mentioned. However, it does have Porygon, which is really cool. I love Porygon. Very good. It's a very good cover wall. If you only have a good core, it kind of can do a lot of things on its own and can be either Phys-Def or Spidef depending on your matchup. And overall, I really like the way his team puts on offensive momentum. I think it's even better than the previous teams, while also having a Mega Lottie as a good way to finish things off.
Yeah, no, I think you covered it pretty well. But honestly, I think what this team's lacking is just like a defensive core, like you
Mhm.
said. Like,
Yeah.
I think the only good defensive one on this team is Porygon 2, but like even then, I don't think Porygon 2 fits that well on this team, especially because there's no Trick Room Abuser.
Mm-hmm.
So
He has
you kind of just
Malamar.
have
He
like
has
a
Malamar.
Porygon
Keep in
2
mind.
as well.
Malamar, which is a trick room abuser.
Malamar.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, I guess so. I guess he has
Yeah,
Malamar,
but it's really just
which doesn't
Malamar.
use
That's it.
Trick.
Yeah.
Yeah, which really is just Malamar.
Yeah.
But in terms of like regular offense, like I think Greninja and Superior paired with like Latios are really good, like offensively, especially with Aerodactyl, with like the 130 plus speed tier, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And Darmanitan is a really good breaker. So in general, it just seems like a hyper offense team.
Yep.
With like a trick room backdoor.
Yeah. I feel like it's very reminiscent of Captain Impact's team from last season, where it's just incredibly powerful hyper offensive breakers. I think Impact had the edge over this team when last season he kind of had Zoroark, which I feel like was an amazing use of his Z Captain, because his Zoroark paired with hyper offense is just like brilliant. This team, I feel like its main advantage over other hyper offensive teams, as I feel like its main four attackers, Gren, Thundi, Superior, and Dimension just pair so incredibly well. They also pair really well with that Lottie in the back. I feel like this is a really scary team. It definitely, I wouldn't be surprised if we end up finding a better team, but so far this team definitely seems like the best we've seen, right?
Yeah, in terms of offensively, like I think this is really good.
Yeah, very good hyper offense team. It's going to be rank 1, and then 2 and 3 going this way. All right, Kevin, you want to start on the Harlem Garchompers?
Okay, yeah, sure. So Harlem Garchompers, again, I think this is also pretty hyper offensive, but I think there's some more balanced components to it. In terms of offensively, you have the Dragapult and Mega Aerodactyl, which have like incredibly good speed tiers,
Mhm.
And then you also pair that with like pretty good breakers. You have like Breloom, which can be like Sub Punch, SD, like Technician, and then you have Crocodile with Intimidate. But also you have really good like hazard setters as well. So you have like Boom Rocks, Azelf. You have like Web Scrab, Galvantula,
Mhm.
and I think the only thing this team's lacking is just like a good like defensive backbone again.
Yeah,
Like
I
think
agree.
4 Mons are weak to ice types, so you're really only like ice resist is Hariyama. But you also have like Weezing and Rotom Wash, which I guess are like okay defensively. But again, I think this team is pretty similar to the one we just talked about
Mhm.
in the way that it's just good more offensively than defensively.
Yeah. I feel like this team kind of reminisces my team and your team from last season, where it was trying to be bulky offense, but it just failed in the fact that like it was so close to having a good defensive core, where it was just like missing 1 or 2 solid pieces. Um, for this team, they have, if you look defensively, you can see they have Rotom Wash and Weezing, which is a really good fizz wall. They have some other stuff that can maybe run a bit more defensively. They have Crocodile for Intimidate. They have Hariyama, could be really bulky with a Thick Fat and maybe AV. Overall, though, they aren't lacking of consistent defensive core, as you said, of course, Kevin. Offensively, they are very powerful. I feel like Breloom paired with Webs is really strong. Dragapult's obviously really strong with Webs. Mega Aerodactyl doesn't even need Webs to be good, but I guess it does help against Scarfers. I think this team's main threat is going to be Fairy types. I actually don't see a single. He doesn't have a Fairy Resist, right? Yeah, he doesn't have Fairy Resist. So, but he's Weezing. But Weezing's usually a physical wall, and a lot of Fairy types are special attacking. Shubi comes into contact with like a Clip Fable from the Cutie Flies, or Sylveon or Tapu Lele. He's gonna struggle a lot. I think if he had maybe if he got rid of like Golem, he needed like a higher tier. Like maybe if he got rid of, I don't know, maybe it's tough. I feel like his team, if you look at it at a first glance, looks well together, but he really need a steel type or another defensive mon. I don't really know who he'd replace, but something
I
yeah,
think he probably could have got a better option over Golem.
over who?
Golem.
Over, yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna say originally, but like at the same time, I don't know if he'd be able to get like a good steal out of that. I feel like he needed a more consistent one. I mean, Aggron's
I
pretty
think
good.
he could have picked up Aggron.
Yeah, Aggron was pretty good.
Yeah.
He actually has Alzelf, and he has Alolan Golem, both of which are very well known for going boom. So, um, very interesting. I guess to clear the way for his other offensive mons. So overall, at first glance, looks kind of good, but just missing a powerful steal, and it leaves him really weak to fairies. So I'd say he's definitely worse than the team we just reviewed. Since he doesn't have a good steal or any real switch in to fairies, I want to say he's he might even be the worst. Like, I don't know, because if you look at like other teams, like they don't really have that. Actually, now that I look back at it, the first team
I think investing guard chops doesn't have a good fairy.
Exactly. I was about to say, yeah. I was about to say, like, we messed up. Like, I completely forgot about that. They don't have a good fairy resist as well. It seems like everyone's lacking on steals. Actually, the other team doesn't have a steal type as well.
Steals are hard to come by in draft.
Actually, wait, none of the teams we reviewed had a steal type. I mean, you know, this team over here gets by with Darmanitan, which, I mean, doesn't really get by, but, you know. Anyway, so I'd probably say
you have Porygon as like especially defense ball. It doesn't help that much, but
yeah. Instead of ranking them in terms of like, I think I'm gonna rank them by tiers. Like, say instead of like saying this is the first, second best, third best, I'm gonna say this group is the first best. This group is the second best. Think I should do that?
Yeah, I do like ABC.
Okay, I think we should do then like every team we've used so far is probably like a B, and then except for the one that was a 1, which is probably an A. I'd say.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I'll say with them 1. 1, 2, 2. Actually, just so we can have room to rank them better, I'm gonna make this one 2 and make the other ones 3. All right, next, close combat crew. This is Derp's team. Let's see. So he right off the bat, he has some very threatening breakers. I think that's a. It seems like so far out of the teams we reviewed, one common thread has been they all had some really solid breakers. This team has Victini with, of course, its amazing base 180 stab V-Create. It has Dracozolt with its Hustle times 2 damage, essentially Bolt Beak, which is also stab. It has Gengar, which is known for being very powerful. It has Abomasnow, which has some pretty good offensive stats. And as a defensive core, he has Mandibuzz, which is very good, paired with Gastrodon, which is also nice. Obviously, Mandibuzz resists Gastrodon's main weakness, which is Grass. He's Machamp, which could be decent as a defensive mon. I think that Miltank. So Kevin's actually facing him week 1, and Kevin and I were talking about this. His Miltank actually looks kind of scary, right, Kevin? Like Miltank is
No, Miltank has incredible utility.
It does, yeah, with like Heal Bell or something.
It's got Heal Bell. It's got Big Fat. I think it also has Sap Sipper if you want to pair it with Gastrodon.
Yeah, true.
It gets rocks. It gets Body Slam. It has really reliable recovery.
Yeah.
So it's sleeper pick.
I don't think I've ever seen a better like use of a tier 4. Like it pairs so well with the Mandibuzz Gastrodon core. Yeah. The main problem I have with this team is if you look at his breakers, his 2 main ones are Victini and Dracozolt, and they could be redundant in a way because they both aren't that. I mean, Dracozolt's obviously good at breaking waters, which Victini can struggle with, but another one of Victini's main moves is like Bolt Strike, which is of course an electric type move, which can deal with waters. Dracozolt does help to deal with more bulky waters. However, the main problem is like the physically bulky ground rock types, which Victini and Dracozolt both struggle with. Mons like Quagsire, Seismitoad, I guess like Golem and stuff. They both Victini and Dracozolt struggle with them a bit. I mean, as long as they're not too bulky, they could probably break through it. Since they're both very strong. I feel like it's very reminiscent.
I disagree. I think
really?
I think Gengar and Abomasnow make up for that really well, especially Z Gengar.
Yeah, you're probably right. And also, what I was gonna say is that in Gen 5, or it was Gen 4, there's something called Drag Mag where you pretty much have, I think it was Gen 4.
It's Gen 5.
Gen 5, okay. Where you pretty much run like 4 Dragon types and 2 Steel types, like usually Magneton and Magnezone. Basically what happened is you use the Steel types to trap opposing Steel types. This is before Fairy types, right? So basically you try to kill off the Steel types with your Steel types, as well as accommodate with that, as well as like your Dragon types, maybe like Earthquake or something. And even though Dragon types, if you have 4 Dragon types on a team, in Gen 5 they're all weak to Steel, just by using such powerful Mons, you can pretty much break through the Steel. So it's like, if you have like 4 Dragon types, right, all weak to a Steel type, as long as you use those Dragons well enough, you should be able to break through the Steel type eventually, and then that will give room for your other Dragons to sweep. So like, Banded V creates from Victini, against something like a Seismitoad, will eventually be able to wear it down to the point where Dracozolt will just have a field day. And as you said, Kevin, Gengar and Abomasnow, which, yeah, I agree, they definitely do pair really well with Victini and Dracozolt. And I really like its defensive core, once again, of Gastro plus Mana Buzz plus Maple Tank. It isn't the strongest defensive core, but I think in terms of using 3 Mons, one of which is tier 2, tier 3, and then a tier 4, that's like the best you can get for it's really good value.
Yeah. I think every Mon on this team has incredible utility outside of Golbat and Stonejourner. I think that's his downfall. I think Golbat and Mandibuzz do the exact same thing.
Right.
And Stonejourner is like Stonejourner. So.
Yeah. I mean, Golbat's kind of cool. It could function as, it's another flying type since Gengar, Victini, and Dragozolt all have that weakness. And it also can use Super Fang, Toxic, Eviolite, can do some pretty cool stuff. It can defog as well. So it is very similar to Mandibuzz, but I think it's, as a tier 4, it's not that bad of a pick. I'd say overall, I'd probably rank this similar to a tier 2 or a tier 2 draft as well, similar to what we ranked it on.
Too.
Yep. Once again, I don't know if you could. I'm not sharing my screen, right?
Well, no, you're not sharing my screen.
Okay, so just so you know, I ranked the first 2, 3, and then 3, 3, 2, 3, 2.
Oh, I see your rankings on the spreadsheet.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. All right, Kevin, you want to talk about Toronto Star Raptors then?
Yeah, sure. Toronto Star Raptors. This team's pretty cool. I think it's definitely a lot more balanced. It's got the Fairy Dragon Steel, a really good Fairy Dragon Steel core with Hydra, Aromatisse, and Mega Aggron, which I was considering drafting. Definitely has a lot of good setup sweepers, but also a lot of good breakers as well. So you have Hydra, which is incredibly versatile with Nasty Plot now, but you can also run Scarf and Specs. Same with Keldeo, where you can do sub-CM, but also Scarf and Specs. Alakazam, also really good utility. You can abuse opponents' terrain with Expanding Force, but in general it also gets Plot, so that's a good breaker as well. Nidoking, incredibly good utility. You kind of have Rocks, but also Tier 4 Life Orb breaker. And Raikou as well, that's what Subcom Mind.
Yep.
And then you have good sweepers. Like Chandelure. In terms of defensively though, I don't see much in terms of defense besides Mega Aggron.
Yeah. And Aromatisse, I guess.
So there's definitely a lot more offensive. Don't really see that much defense in this, but I think it's really threatening. Yeah.
Let me just say real quick, I really like the tier 5 pick. I feel like Thwacky is really cool because he has Keldeo and Chandelure, so he wanted a grass type, which obviously it's not the strongest grass type on its own. With the grassy terrain, it kind of covers for the fact that he has 3 Mons that are weak to ground. Of course, they're still all 3 of them are relatively frail physically, so they still will take some damage upon against ground types. But overall, they won't be technically weak to it with grassy terrain out. Actually, he has Colossal.
I was gonna say Thwacky and Mega Aggron pair super well.
Oh, and I forgot, but yeah, Aggron's weak to ground too. Aggron doesn't matter as much because it's not even going to take that much from ground type attacks if it's physical. But yeah, they definitely pair well. I think the main problem. So usually with hyper offense teams, if they don't have a defensive backbone, they could against opposing hyper offense or against opposing breakers that are just faster and stronger. They're going to struggle a lot, or not even stronger, even just faster. A lot of times, Revenge Killers could be scary. I think what Toronto Star Raptors do well is that most of their breakers are really fast. So there really isn't a need for defensive Mons. Raikou, Keldeo, and Alakazam are very fast. Hydreigon has a good speed too. Chandelure isn't the fastest, but it's alright. Same with Nidoking. In terms of offensive synergy, let's see. Well, Hydreigon is obviously really powerful. It's his main breaker, or more like a setup breaker, if you want to say that. Shadowlands Fairy types, obviously, which he has Aggron for. Keldeo is really strong. Does he have a way to break grass types? But he has he has Chandelure as well, which is a Z captain actually. Yeah. I don't know about Chandelure being the Z captain. I feel like it'd be better as a Scarfer on this team. I feel like a Z captain would be something that's I feel like he should use a faster one as a Z captain.
I was gonna say the same thing. Like when you look at Dirk's team versus Star Raptors, Z Gengar is 100 times better than Z Chandelure.
Yeah.
Just because it has a way better speed tier.
Exactly.
I think with Chandelure, you need the choice item to either make it a breaker or a sweeper. And I think when you put a Z on it, you have to either catch a switch in, or just be able to break something with less speed.
Yeah, definitely. Like as a calm mind, maybe sub Z move set, it's not on its own. It's not bad, but on this kind of team where you're gonna want a lot of faster speed tiers, I feel like a Scarf would be better. Of course, Chandler can still run Scarf. It's not limited to run Z, but something like a Raikou or Nidoking, I think would. I mean, Nidoking, not even Nidoking. I think Raikou, Alakazam or Keldeo as well. I mean, those are tier two. So let's just say Raikou. I think Raikou on its own would have been a much better use of a Z captain. Z fighting could be really well and stuff with Aura Sphere. Yeah. Overall, I think offensively his team is very solid. He has a lot of good speed tiers. He has he has a nice setup Calm Mind Raikou. Uh, he has setup Hydreigon. I just feel overall he has a good mix of sweepers and breakers. Not actually, he doesn't have any physical attackers for the most part. In terms of sweeper, besides Aggron. Actually, his only physical attackers are Aggron and Thwacky, which is kind of unfortunate, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could do physical, um, whatever the thing is called, the coal.
Colossal. But like, how does his team?
That's the one.
Luckily,
Yeah, no, you could do physical colossal, but it's more of a rocker and a spinner.
yeah. I mean, I didn't realize he didn't have any physical attackers. Like before that, I would have given him two. But I think just because of the fact that like how does he beat? I mean, obviously Chansey. No one drafted Chansey, luckily. But if he was up against a Chansey, he'd have no way beating it. Like versus Cleveland Cutie Flies, if he runs Spadef Clefable and then Fizdef Magnezone with like Air Boot or no.
I do want to add.
What?
I do want to add that Hydreigon can be physical.
No, it can. It could be Dragon Dance as well.
Yeah.
But overall, like versus a special wall, he's gonna struggle a lot. So I feel like I'm actually gonna give it a 3 because of that. What do you think?
I think we can change it later.
You found me giving it a 3?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Next, LA Lotties. Who's starting? I'm starting, I think. Right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'm starting. Okay.
Yep.
This team, I mean, no surprise, it's amazing. He's got Tauren, Tangrowth, and Slowbro as his first 3 Mons, all of which have Regenerator and are very well paired together. Muck is also really bulky. He can run AV, can be a nice Pursuit Trapper. Mudsdale's a very good physical wall. Metagross could be kind of bulky. It's a good rocker that pairs with Mudsdale's another rocker. Turtonator is very interesting. Audino's a very good pick, has a good special wall to round out his overall core. And Infernape, as a fast offensive Z user, is also really strong. It's very similar to Indiana Aggron's team last season, where it was it seemed to be it wasn't officially stall, but I mean his was closer to stall. This isn't I wouldn't call it stall, but it's very close to being stall, very very close. And as you saw, the Z captain of Indiana Aggron's last season was Cobalion, which I think was a really good pick. It's a nice fast mon that can get a kill on a Pokemon that kind of needs to be taken out, like a really strong breaker. And Infernape is Lottie's choice of a breaker. So overall, I'd say there's really much to say about this team. Its defensive synergy is absolutely amazing. I'd probably rate this a 1 because it's just so good. The only problem is that it's close to being stalled. But I wouldn't say it's stalled. It's gonna be just so difficult to break with 3 Regenerator Mons. Slowbro.
I don't think this is stall.
You don't think this is? I mean, well, as I said,
I don't think so.
I've said this last season. I don't think you can call a team of like a draft team stall. You can't do it until you see their 6 they've run, and you can call an individual. If you have if you draft 13 Mons or whatever, you can't call it stall no matter how bulky it is. You have to kind of see the individual team of 6 they bring. I think most of the time the team of 6 he brings is going to be very reminiscent of stall. I probably hesitate to say it is stall, but I would say it's very close. And I don't see how anyone's going to break his physical walls of Slowbro and Tangrowth, his special walls potentially of Torn, Audino, and maybe even Tangrowth if he wants to run AV that week. He also has Mudsdale as a physical wall. I think overall this team is just absolutely incredible, and there's really not much to say about it, right? What do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, I would consider this like balance, like both the offense, because like you still have like really good speed tiers. You have like Torn T, that's like what 120. You have Infernape, which is above 100, I think, right?
Infernape's
but you also have like.
Let's see. I think Infernape's. I mean, it's not that it matters that much. It's like 107 or something. 10.
Yeah.
115. 108. It's 108. And Torn is like 110. One.
Yeah,
oh wait, that's not one. It's
Right,
1.
but you
Oh, it's
also have,
121. You're right.
Smash Turtonator. Yeah, you have Shell Smash Turtonator, right?
Mhm.
But then you also have like really good like breakers. You can do like Banded, Metagross. You have Muck, which is alright. But in terms of fences too, like Also, like FBA Rotom, like shouldn't be laughed at as well because that is a really reliable debugger if you choose to run something like AV Tornadus. And same as like as a good wish passer as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I think covered it pretty well.
Yeah, I think every week he's probably going to be bringing those first three mons, as well as likely Ardino and some combination of Infernape, Muck, Metagross, Mudsdale. But yeah, as his last.
Yeah.
Overall, I don't think it's even a question. This is definitely a rank 1 team, right?
Yeah, rank 1 totally.
Yeah. All right, Cleveland Cutie Flies. What do you got to say, Kevin?
Okay. I mean, off the rip, I think he has a super solid core of Clef Goodra. I think that is a really solid core.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, like, I think like Z Decidueye was a good pick. And I think Beedrill pairs really well with a good speed tier. But outside of his like Fairy Dragon Steel core, I don't see that much synergy besides that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean he's got like the Starmie Decidueye pairing, but he doesn't have a fire type.
Mm-hmm.
I think Goodra is a really good like special wall, and Regirock is a good physical wall. And then you kind of have Clef that can do both. So I don't know. I like off a quick look, it doesn't seem too synergized. But I think when you think about it, like you do have mons that do pair well together.
I'd say it's the other way around, to be honest. I think at a quick glance, it looks kind of synergized. You have the Fairy Dragon Steel core, but if you really look into it, like how does he switch into like a Landorus or like any ground type? Like he really doesn't have a good switch in. I feel his Fairy Dragon Steel core, they look like it'd be something that's good, but I just feel like they struggle against really good physical breakers, mainly because I guess like if it's something that's physically offensive that Clef doesn't naturally resist and it's really powerful, it definitely could just break through it because Magnezone doesn't really have any recovery, and Goodra isn't that physically bulky. Especially his team is very good, but on the specialty defensive side, but on the physically offensive side, I think it's lacking. Beedrill, I think, is a really good. I think it's pretty good for this team. The U-turn pivoting is really nice, paired with Magnezone's Volt Switching, Clefable's teleporting. I think offensively it's pretty good, and defensively it's also pretty good. But I'd say I'd say it doesn't really excel at offense or defense. It's kind of good at both, but not great. Would you agree with that to some extent?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I think it's an easy tier 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next, my team, Europe Islanders. So I initially had Bisharp, and if I still have Bisharp, this would either be a rank 2 or 3 team, in my opinion. But actually, I'm going to rank it as it is now. It has Skarmory over Bisharp, which I think is very good. If you look at my Fire, Water, or if you look at my Fairy Dragon Steel core, it's Zygarde, which is obviously really strong and can be physically, or overall, just pretty bulky on either side. Skarmory's a good physical wall. Florida is a good special wall. I also have Umbreon, which is also another good cover wall. I think on the defensive side, my team is really good because I feel like, maybe I'm biased, but I feel like Skarmory kind of covers everything's weakness, which is why I think it was a really good pick. I was really weak to physically offensive ground types as well as fairy types, and Skarmory obviously covers both of those pretty well. Offensively, obviously I said I have Zygarde, Typhlosion, Sceptile, Azumarill, Electivire. So besides Zygarde, my offensive core, so you have two different main cores. You have Zygarde plus Gallade, which on its own is really powerful physically. And the other offensive mons are kind of the Fire, Water, Grass, Electric core that I was talking about earlier with the Greninja team. But I think the Greninja team actually does it better than me, which is pretty obvious considering that out of that Fire, Water, Grass, Electric core, most of them are tier 4s and 5s. So I think that's a bit of a weakness, but I feel like overall, defensively, my team's really good. Offensively, it could be lacking to some extent. It might be hard to break some things. And speed tiers are also pretty good, but not the best. But I think my team mainly excels in that bulky core of Zygarde, Umbreon, Florges, and Skarmory.
Yeah. Like building off of that, I just think you have a good bulky offense core. I think the only thing you're missing right now is a good special breaker.
Mm-hmm.
I don't consider Typhlosion a good special breaker.
Yeah, I agree.
We have Zygarde, Azumarill, Gallade, Electivire. Those are all really great physical attackers or breakers. And you do have the good defensive core. You got Umbreon, Florges. and I guess Mawile for the speed.
Jeez.
But yeah, missing the special breaker, which could hurt you.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so I feel overall, yeah, I kind of agree with you where you said like a better special breaker would be nice. Um, it's very
If you had a
like
good special breaker, I'd put it as a 1. But
yeah,
I think just because you're missing that, I think it just knocks it down to a 2.
I agree. Yeah, I feel like yeah, actually, you pretty much covered what I was thinking. Offensively, it's really strong, but there's some things it can struggle with. As you said, you know, a good physical walls could be tough because I don't have that many good special breakers. So overall, it's definitely I agree. It's a 2. All right. I mean, if we're looking at my PUBA team, though, that on the other hand is definitely a 1. That team is insane. um,
Okay.
Channel
So
and Birds.
I'm with Birds. I personally don't like this team.
Really?
I think there's a lot of overlap,
Mm-hmm.
especially with the 3 fighting types. You have
Right.
Embower, Lopunny, and Z Hitmonchan.
Mm-hmm.
I think that just kind of sucks. Also, you have 2 bulky ghost types. You have Duskmore and Gillisons. Again, overlap.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that this team does have good like setup sweepers and breakers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got like Embower, you got Staraptor, Weavile, and Corona. Those are all great. I don't know. I don't like how there's 3 fighting types. I think that hurts a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But it does have like the Firewater Grass core with Embower, Celebi, and Gillisons.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. I would honestly like put it as like a 2 to 3, maybe a 3. I just think like Lopunny and Z Hitmonchan are so redundant.
Yeah.
Unless you want to run like a Z Elemental Punch.
Mm-hmm. I kind of agree, but disagree at the same time. I feel there is definitely a lot of overlap, but I feel like most of the overlap isn't that big a deal. Like if we just ignore, like if we pretend like his team is only like those first 3 mons plus Celebi, Jellicent, and Lopunny, it's really good. Of course, you don't want to be using the same mons over and over in a draft league because it's very predictable, which is why we draft like 10 mons instead of only 6. But I think those mons on its own are really powerful. Firewater Grass, he has Celebi and Jellicent, which are more defensive. Volcarona is obviously more offensive, but I think it still works for the most part. Weavile plus Staraptor are very powerful physical breakers, and which he also has Lopunny, which is a really powerful physical breaker. Special breakers, he has just Volcarona, so I think that's actually a weakness. He probably, similar to my team, another special breaker would be nice. I definitely would call it a 2, though. I just think that his Firewater Grass was really good. It's a bit more of an offensive team, definitely. And he does kind of have that similar pseudo-defensive core where it's, 2 mons that are kind of defensive, but at the same time, they do have some weaknesses, which are, of course, Celebi and Jellicent. Dark types are a weakness to those, but he does have, I guess, Ghost types actually kind of fuck with his team, because it's not good for the fighting types, it's not good for Celebi, Jellicent, and it resists Volcarona's bug move. But he does, and it resists Staraptor's normal attacks. He does have Weavile, though, to hit those, but still. And I guess his Lopunnies can also have Scrappy. I'd say overall it's still a tier 2 team. It's still pretty powerful, I'd say.
Low 2 in my opinion, but I could
Low
be
2?
harsh.
Yeah, I'd definitely say it's 2 just because, it's just really powerful, and I like the Firewater Grass still. The Volcarona cannot be underestimated. It's very powerful, especially with, a Roost subset could be really nice.
Okay.
Mono attacking, I guess. Alright, 2. Roost sub, Quiver Dance, Flamethrower.
Excellent.
Yeah. Tempo Stone Droners. The first thing I see is he does have a Fairy Dragon Seal Core, with his dragon being more offensive. It's Sceptile, as you can see. Oh, actually, it's 2 dragons, which is kind of redundant. Salamence and Sceptile, one of which is a more fast breaker, but it doesn't get that much coverage, whereas the other one, Salamence, is a more setup sweeper, or even defensive Intimidate, bulky pivot. I feel like Salamance's Intimidate plus do Blade as a good offensive or physically defensive Steel type plus Split Def Sylveon's really good pairing. And then offensively, he does of course have Sceptile. He doesn't have a Water type for his. Oh no, he's Cramorant. His Firewater Grass core is a Sceptile, Cramorant, Delphox, which is all right, I guess. That's your Shifu? Don't tell me. That's Rapid, right? Oh no, wait, what's it called? Single Strike, right? Dark Fighting, yeah. That's pretty good. Yeah, I'd say overall, I think it's definitely a 2, just because of the fact It's honestly it's probably a high two because I feel like his Fairy Dragon Steel is just really good, and also just he has like some versatile mons in. Actually, no. Okay, let me rephrase that. Good Fairy Dragon Steel core. His mons are kind of predictable, like Urshifu and Sceptile. They kind of do one thing. However, he does have Necrozma, which kind of spices it up a bit. Overall, I think it's definitely a 2. It's a very balanced team, I'd say. Overall, it doesn't really have any clear weaknesses. It has good speed tiers, good defensive core, good offensive mons on both the physically and special side. But it's probably a bit above average in every aspect. But it's nothing too outstanding, nothing too bad. What would you say?
Yeah, no. I totally agree. I think it's a high two. I would say that like Ments and Sceptile are both dragon types.
Yeah.
Personally, I would have drafted a different tier 4 Mega, but
yeah,
honestly, I think Sceptile does pair well.
I think it gives him a speed tier that he kind of needs.
Yeah. Sceptile was the only good speed tier.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's pretty good offensively, right? Like, there's so much utility in like what Necrozma and Sylveon can do.
Mm-hmm.
I do think like a lot of his mons are pretty predictable. Like, I think we all know what Single Striker Shiva's going to do.
Yeah, and Sceptile.
I guess we know what like Delphox and Cramorant.
It's really everything besides Necrozma, and I guess maybe Salamence.
Yeah, and that's so.
Yeah. I feel like if he was able to draft a good speed tier as his Mega, but like not something as something that fits his team more, it'd be nice. Like let's say he changes Fire Water Grass Core instead of Sceptile, he had something like Mega Zard, which of course he couldn't do because of how the tuning works out. Maybe like Mega Zard Y, and then his Water and then he had like a maybe like a better Grass type. Obviously it wouldn't be too OP, like something like Tangrowth, and then a good Water type as well. It'd be better, but I feel like it's just overall lacking in that Fire Water Grass Core. But as you said, as you both said, Sceptile was mainly there for the speed tier, so it's definitely we definitely say it's a high-ish too, right?
Yep.
All right, just so you know, Kevin, we're halfway done, and it's been 45 minutes, so it's gonna be an hour and a half video. Just so you know.
Damn.
Yeah. We will have timestamps though, so most people will probably just skip to their team, to be honest.
Yeah, we'll timestamp it.
Yeah. All right. I guess you're starting this one.
Yeah, sure. So this is Campbell's team, right? Sunbury Stunfix. I like this team. I think it's got the fairy dragon steel, or not the dragon, I guess. But it also still has like the firewater grass. Oh no, it does have fairy dragon steel with the Kyurem and Mawile, and then it has the firewater grass with
I guess
Manaphy, Eldegoss, and Entei. It's pretty threatening. It's got Koopa Band, Kyurem, Manaphy, which are all great breakers. It's got E-Speed, Entei, and Mawile. Only thing I would say it's lacking in is probably like speed for like a sweeper.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you can easily like slap a scarf on pretty much any of his offensive mons.
Yeah.
And that would cover for it.
Yeah. There isn't much to say about his team, in my opinion. I think, Kevin, you said most of it. Rabombi with Rebs plus Hoopa and Kyurem, I think, was a really good combination, as well as Manaphy, actually. Those who all benefit from webs. And Entei, even. Interesting, he has or I guess Oricorio could be any type, or not any type, those four. Overall, very threatening. He has mainly physical breakers, but he has some good special breakers as well. Not the best defensive core, could be better. I think it's just because of webs plus Hoopa is so threatening, I'd say it's a pretty solid 2, right?
Yeah, I would agree. Oh, yeah, and webs is great speed control.
Yeah. Especially with Banded Hoopa, that's going to be amazing. All right, Ripple-Tide Blastoise. This team is very interesting. So he doesn't have a fairy. He has Ferrothorn.
No, he has Comfey.
Right. Oh, I saw him miss Comfey. Give me a second. I just need to look at this. It's hard to talk about his team. I feel like it has some good aspects, and just those first 4 Pokemon just seem really powerful. Those first 5 Pokemon just seem really good. I guess Comfey's pretty. What does Ariados do? Is it just Toxic Spikes and Spikes?
I guess he webs, right?
Oh, it does. It probably gets.
Used it.
What?
Like sticky webs?
Yeah, let's go sticky webs. Okay. Mega Banette's interesting as well. I'm honestly puzzled by this team. I don't know what to say. I feel like okay, Z Captain, Porygon Z plus Banette, they're both really, really powerful Pokemon. Mimoswine's really strong. Specs Lottie's really strong. I feel like he has a lot of good, powerful Pokemon. At the same time, they also kind of, they're not bulky, but they're not like frail either. And he has Ferrothorn plus Incineroar plus Mantine. Actually, I just realized Ferrothorn, Incineroar, Mantine is a very solid Fire Water Grass. I actually really like that. Um, Fairy Dragon Steel is decent. Koufei's alright as a fairy. Latias is a good dragon offensively, defensively not so much. I'd say overall it's a pretty solid 2 just because it's kind of hard to see where this team is going. I feel like it can be used in a number of ways since it seems to be relatively versatile. I think its main thing going for it is that amazing Firewater Grass core plus its really powerful breakers, especially like Specs Lottie, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think I don't know. Like
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
It's like a bulkier version of Campbell's team.
Yeah.
The one we just talked about. Like Z conversion Porygon is very threatening, and I think Latios as well. My only gripe would just be that he doesn't have a true abuser outside of like Ferrothorn.
I mean, Banette's its own abuser, to be honest. Like,
that's true, but like half the time you're probably like Destiny bonding. I don't know. I don't I don't know what to say about this team.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see like how it turns out, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I really don't.
Let me just say it's really. Sorry,
I think it's a 2, but like there's nothing special that stands out to me.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's not bad.
I feel like it really depends on how the coach uses it, how Sonny uses this team.
Yeah,
it's a lot of I don't know. We'll see. I feel like I definitely want to give it a 2 though, just because of the very solid bulky Firewater Grass core. Let me just say real quick, it's a shame that there's a Pokemon or Mega Banette has Prankster and also has basic 180 attack, but it's somehow not good. It's pretty sad.
Only got Poltergeist.
It does get Poltergeist now. Good point. Is it in the decks at this point?
No.
No? Oh, so you can't even use it?
No, not usable in our draft.
Yeah. Alright, Kevin, what do you think about the Suburban Snorlax's team?
Suburban Snorlaxes. This team is pretty cool. I think, like, off a glance, like, it doesn't look as good, but I think when you think about it, like, it's decent. Like, it's got... I think Jiox's defense is kind of cool, because you get teleport support, extremely bulky with rock spikes and taunt utility. Like it's Thunder Wave and recovery. In terms of breaking power, like it does have Haxorus and Rhyperior, and defensively it does have like I don't know, Centiskorch, like Ktekleon and Electros kind of. Again, like this is kind of one of those like up to the coach kind of teams.
I agree completely.
It's got the offensive presence. It's got the defensive presence, kind of. And it has Ditto, which is cool. But I don't know. It's got the cores as well, right? It's got Firewater Grass. It's got Fairy Dragon Steel. So I don't know. There's just nothing. There's nothing that makes me want to say it's a 1, but there's nothing that makes me want to say it's a 3.
Yep.
So yeah, it ultimately comes down to like how the coach does.
Something that's been a trend of the past few teams we've been talking about. But yeah, I feel like if you look at it, like at a first glance, everything Kevin said is definitely true. I feel like one thing I just realized, it doesn't have a good special breaker, unless I guess you use Ditto. Haxorus plus Gyarados plus Rhyperior seem like, plus Ditto even, seem just very strong overall. But then if you just realize, wait, they're all like physical attackers pretty much, it kind of falls apart a bit. I'd say I think this team is mid-low. I'd say it's probably mid. It's just a 2.
Low 2.
Low 2. I'd say mid-low 2. Like a 2 point. What we're saying 2 is average, right? So it's probably going to be like. Wait.
2.3.
Yeah. Well, that'd be closer. Oh yeah. Never mind. Actually. Yeah, I feel like defensively it's decent. Deoxys is on its own can tank just like everything. And Scissor is pretty good as well. Yeah, it's just once again, it depends on how he uses it. It's not much to say about it, besides the fact that a special breaker would be nice. It's definitely a solid 2. All right. Next team.
And I like how you said it. It's a special breaker.
Yeah.
All right.
I feel like
I guess I'm doing Crobats.
no.
Or are you doing it?
I think I was doing it. Real quick, I want to rework our tiering a bit because I feel like it's not that satisfying just to see like a 1, 2, 3. Like I think like a scale of 5 would be better. No.
Yeah, well, we can do that after.
I want to do it now. Let's do it really quickly. Ready? Let's go through it. First team, 4.
4.
Second team, I feel like it's a.
3.
I'm not sure. I'll say 3. This team is definitely a 2, right?
Yep.
Then we got
3.
3. I'd say it's a 4.
Okay, I'll put 4.
I'm putting a 4. Dirt. I think that's a.
I think it's a 3.
It's close, 2 or 3. You think 3?
I like 2 actually.
2.
I like 2. Yeah.
This team is definitely a 3. This next one.
Okay.
I think it should stay as a 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
This team, I'd say it's a 3.
Yep.
My team, 2 or 3. What do you think?
2 or 3. I'd give it.
What your mic cut out? 3? 3?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like it's gonna be. I feel like it's definitely a really high 3, but it's still a 3, I guess. This team, 3.
Yeah.
We're giving like everything 3s. This is 3.
I think we can make this a 3 and then your team's a 2.
You think so?
Yeah.
How nice of you, Kevin. Next team up here, I feel like this is gonna stay a 2. I like its Webs plus Hoopa.
It's 2, and then the next one would be a 3.
Okay, and then Gimmy's team 3 as well.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, Austin Crobat. We still haven't given anyone a 5, which is I feel bad whoever's gonna get a 5, but Austin Crobats. So I feel like he does have a fire. He does have a fire water grass core. Here's Urshifu, Rotom, Appleton, which is alright. Fairy Dragon Steel, he does have Ampharos, Komao, and Appleton with Scissor, no Fairy. So no Fairy. I feel like that's not the best. I feel like Fairy Dragon, like looking at the individual typing cores, isn't the best way to look at this team. I feel like the best way to look at this team is just if you look at like I feel like he probably didn't intend this, but I feel like it's almost built around Corsola Galar. Just the core of like Corsola. It's just mainly his defensive core is pretty solid. Like it's really untraditional, but he has Corsola, which can tank like everything, which is and it's of course weak to Ghost and Dark types. In terms of Dark types, he has if it's a physical Dark type, he has like he could do Fizz Def Como. In terms of Ghost types, he's kind of screwed against Ghost types actually. So maybe I take that back. In terms of special attack, I mean, Corsola could be either physical or special. Rotom, I don't know. I feel like all of his Pokemon like can be bulky. I feel like it's definitely a bulky offense team. Where like balance is more like you have a combination of bulky Pokemon and offensive Pokemon. This is more of a bulky offense, as in each Pokemon in itself can be more bulky and more offensive. The Rotoms are always a good example of that. They can be like Nasty Plot, while also being like max HP, very bulky. Corsola obviously is defensive. Scissor can be either. Urshifu is a bit more offensive, but it has a bit of variance to it. It's not as clear cut as Urshifu single is. I'd say. I mean, it's kind of close, but I'd say it's a bit more versatile. Komao as a Z captain is obviously pretty cool. Obviously, Clanger Soul Blaze is amazing. The biggest weakness, I feel like his typings are all right. He doesn't have a good water type switch-in, like a special water type switch-in. Like I guess Komao doesn't really count unless he's running like really bulky. He does have Appleton actually, but like if it's like a water ice type, he's gonna struggle. Like I don't see how he deals with something like Cloyster, or
No, he's got Walrein.
He's got Walrein. I mean, Cloyster. If it's Cloyster specifically, he's gonna get Rock Blasted.
I don't know.
It's kind of hard.
Like,
I feel like this team, as well as the past we've been talking about, are very similar, and that it really is up to the coach on how it turns out, right?
No,
you don't think so?
I'm not a fan of this team.
Really?
Personally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Yeah. I think Corsola Galar maybe I'm not a fan of it personally. I
It's
think
good.
as soon as it gets its Eviolite knocked off, it's not bulky at all.
Assuming it gets its Eviolite
Um,
knocked off, but yeah,
yeah, but
assuming it
okay.
does.
But like, also, like, it can also get tricked, right?
Mm.
And Shuckle is kind of an oddball in this team as well because it's not very offensive. So unless you want to do
Well,
like
I mean, yeah.
infestation toxic, like I feel like it's gonna be easy to like for the opponent to do hazard control as well.
Mm.
In terms of typing, like 3 dragon types is not very ideal.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely a big weakness.
And it's missing a lot of the cores.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
besides the fire water grass, but I mean,
Yeah, as I've said, its typing core is definitely lacking. I feel like in terms of roles, its team, if you just look at it in terms of the roles of the Pokemon, it's not bad. But its typing is definitely lacking. I feel, yeah, okay. You're probably more right about this than not. You're probably more right about this team than I am. I feel like it's definitely not the best. It's definitely a 4, right?
yeah.
Okay. Next,
Okay, moving on to my team.
You're starting? You're
Yeah,
starting.
sorry. Yeah. So this team was definitely based around Celesteela. It was, yeah. Okay, so the team is based around Celesteela, and it's basically immunity stacking. So you got the electric immunity, you got the fire immunity,
Yeah, it's built around
the water immunity. Yeah, so I was definitely going for a more like bulky offense team. I have the fire water grass core of like Amoonguss, Arcanine, and Seismitoad, but then I also have like I'm missing the fairy type, which is definitely the downside, but I do have like Celesteela paired with Dragalge, which I think is also good. I do have very good like physical defense in terms of 2 Intimidators. I think the only team this team is lacking is probably like a bulky dark or fairy type, and yeah.
Yep, I agree. Let me just say, if this was like a VGC draft, this would be the one of the best VGC drafts I would ever see. I'd see in my entire life. Like, this is just an amazing VGC team. Like, it's just so good. I feel like I've seen it before somewhere. In VGC 2018, there was a core of like Feeny, Celesteela, and Mega Manectric. Mega Manectric would be able to intimidate stuff, so it would help with like a more Spadef Celesteela and Feeny, while also soaking up when it Mega Evolves, or I say the way around actually, before it Mega Evolves as Lightning Rod, it can soak up Celesteela and Feeny's electric immunity. In this case, of course, he has Zero Aura. He's only a Lightning Rod user. Since it's not VGC, he just needs a Lightning immunity, electric immunity, which is Zero Aura. Toad as well. Amoonguss is resistant to it. I feel like obviously the main strength of this team is his defensive core. Right, he's got the Fire, Water, Grass core with an electric type, which even though it's a more offensive electric type, it honestly can work as a more defensive mom with heavy duty boots or leftovers, which Zero Aura of course. He's got Intimidator, him on top, which Arcanine as well as Intimidate. Celesteela is really good. As Kevin said, the Fairy Dragon Steel core isn't really there. He's got Celesteela, Dragalge, which I feel like is a good way to utilize the Z-Pick. I would have preferred it to be more fast mon, but I don't think it's bad at all. Pidgeot, I feel like, I don't know why, I can't put my finger on it, but I feel like Pidgeot just pairs so well with this team. I just don't know why. Maybe it's because it's immune to ground, which Celesteela is as well, but it covers for powerful ground types that can obviously hurt Arcanine and Zero Aura. Overall, I'd say his team, I'd definitely say it's a 1. It's very strong. I feel like its biggest weakness is even like just because power. Okay, if you look at his Pokemon, like 2 of his really bulky Pokemon are Arcanine and Seismitoad, and I feel like they kind of don't do that well versus power creep. Since Arcanine has like limited recovery, he has Morning Sun, which is weakened by weather, and it's also like 8 PP, and Seismitoad doesn't have any recovery really. So if he comes across like
passing with Audino.
That's true, but Audino's dog shit. and he comes across like as you said, like a dark type would be nice. Like any dark type or ghost type, like Specs, Gengar, Bandit, or Shifu. Those were all like or Shifu single strike. Will be very very threatening to your team. Yeah. Overall, it's definitely a 1. There definitely are some very visible weaknesses in terms of the a good like something like over Sneasel maybe as a better dark type. which is obviously hard to get considering his first 5 mons are what he has. It's kind of hard to get another bulky, like really good mon. I feel like he got a lot of value at his picks though. Definitely a 1, right?
Agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
Braunschweig Beldams. I'm starting with this one. So he has the Hawlucha Slurpuff. He has Hawlucha Slurpuff Indeedee. Obviously, there's 2 Unburdened users which can utilize Psychic Seed with Indeedee. Very interesting team, actually. He has a Salgor, which can be used as an early game hazard stacker, as well as a final Gambiter. Good speed tier. His Flygon is a Z Captain. I actually really like that. I feel like it's a good breaker with Dragon Dance, which will help out with Hawlucha and Slurpuff in the end game. Volcanion could also be used as maybe a Specs breaker, maybe even more bulky. Xurkitree is interesting as a Tail Glower, or maybe even a Specs or Scarf user. Overall, his team is definitely very threatening. He has a lot of very powerful Pokemon. Hawlucha, Xurkitree. Hawlucha and Xurkitree are some of the most powerful Pokemon out there in terms of just being a threat overall, especially if you pair it with something like Indeedee, which not only obviously helps Hawlucha with its Unburden, but it can also help like a Scarf Xurkitree or a Dragon Dance Flygon in terms of Sucker Punch and priority, except I just said Flygon, ignore that because Flygon isn't grounded, so it doesn't get affected by that Psychic Terrain, and it still gets hit with priority. For the most part, I feel like I guess it helps like Lycanroc and Absol and a Salgor, which, a Salgor, I feel like a lot of Pokemon on this seem to have a Sash, so it's good to not have that Sash broken by priority, which obviously Psychic Terrain is good against. Overall, it's definitely a more hyper-offensive team, and I feel like it is a good hyper-offensive team. In terms of actual breakers, it does have a good mix of physical and special. In terms of typing, going up against a Landorus will be bad, or any other bulky ground. Of course, he does have Glaceon, but other than that, if it's a physically bulky ground, I don't see much of a way for Slurpuff, and a Slurpuff and Hawlucha can probably break it just through brute strength, but it's still going to be kind of difficult. Xurkitree obviously isn't very good against ground types. Obviously, Specs Energy Ball or Tailgo Energy Ball could end up working out, but depending on the situation, it might not work. Overall, I'd say it's a very solid. It's tough. I think Kevin's going to decide. For me, it's either a 3 or 2. I'm not sure which one. What do you think, Kevin? What do you think it should be?
I would think it's a 3.
3-ish? Why is that?
I don't know. I'm not sure actually.
Just looks like it?
I think it has 3 Unburdened users.
3? Did I miss one? Oh, and Salgor. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just there's no I guess you don't need a hyper offense. There's no core synergy, but that's not really that necessary. So
yeah, I mean
compared to other 2s, I'm a little bit skeptical. But yeah,
you literally read my mind. I was about to say
I would say 5-3 low 2.
No, I agree. Literally, when you said that, you read my mind. I was about to say that if you compare it to that first 2 with the Greninja team, it definitely is lacking compared to that. Because it's just 2, even though in terms of brute strength, I think Beldams are just overall a bit more powerful. This type synergy is so good in the Greninja team. So I think Braunschweig Beldams is very close to being 2, but I'd say it's probably 3. Okay. Green Bay Pachirisus.
I think I'm doing this right. Yeah.
I think I was, but I don't really care. Oh no, you are. You're right.
Yeah, I'm just right. I think this is compared to Beldams, this is a better hyper offense team.
I agree. Yeah.
Just because you have Mesprit and Diancie, which are both really good entry hazard setters, and then you have good setup supers. You got
Diancie's
Clipper Dance, Lilligans, you got SD Cart, SD Mimikyu, and you have Shell Smash Cloister. I don't know what's really missing from this besides a better special breaker, honestly. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's a fair team. I would give it it definitely feels better than the last one we talked about, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, I agree. It definitely does. I mean, it's kind of hard to vocalize, but I just feel what?
It's hard to compare.
It's hard to compare, yeah. But I feel like just overall, just looking at it, definitely does seem better. I'd say its strengths are. I mean, if you look at his first 2 Pokemon, actually his first Oh God. Oh no, I didn't even realize. I feel like it's something that we keep missing. All of his first 5 mons are all physical breakers. Twin special breakers, I guess he has Lilligant. Um, but then you got
And
Braver, yeah.
Manectric.
I mean
Yeah,
Manectric,
well,
but like
I mean, I guess he
it's a
also has
pivot.
like Calm Mind, Diancie.
True, true. Um, Calm Mind. Does it get Calm Mind? I think it does.
Yeah, I guess Calm Mind.
Does it? I haven't seen that very often. Um, I feel like if someone is looking at the team I'm building for and they don't realize how much they don't have any, how they only have physical breakers, it'll be really good. But if you just take a second and look at it, you'll see that, Cloyster was, well, his first 5 Pokemon all essentially are really powerful physical breakers, whether it be setup sweepers like Cloyster, Lycanroc, or Mimikyu, or just honestly, there's brute attackers like Buzzwole and Kartana, which it could be set up as well with Bulk Up or Swords Dance, respectively. Overall, I think it's a very solid, probably a low 3. If they have more special attackers, I feel like if they have more special attackers, they can easily go from being a low 3 to like a mid to high 2. But just the lack of special attackers is just so crippling.
Okay.
B-Town Bidoofs. Okay, so they stole Gimme's team, right? um, yeah. So he has the Jirachi Togekiss, which of course pairs well because they both have decent-ish speed tiers. It's a steel and fairy type, and they both can flinch their opponents to death. And one of them is of course physical, one special. Uh, for the fairy dragon steel core, they have their dragon in Charizard X. I think that is a really good pick for the team, because Jirachi and Togekiss can kind of chip at their counters and just weaken them. Like, let's see your Pokemon like Landorus, right? Um, it seems like I'm kind of going to Landorus a lot as an example, but Landorus, if your opponent's scared of like Jirachi flinching his team to death, like Scarf Jirachi flinching his team to death, he can easily go with a bulky, rocky helmet, physically defensive Landorus, and Jirachi will be able to weaken that Landorus very slightly to the point where maybe Zard can set up and sweep and eventually kill the Landorus after Jirachi's weakened it. I feel like it's a really good pairing. He also has webs with Vikavolt, it's actually really good on this team. It basically allows Togekiss, Jirachi, and even Zard to be faster than a lot of things without needing a Scarf or Dragon Dance up. Defensively, he's got Quag and Piloswine, kind of redundant. He has Claydol. Yeah, for his walls, he has like 3 ground types and no solid Spadef wall. Is Regice the one that has high Spadef? Actually, I think.
Yeah, Regice is this for that one.
Okay, so that's pretty good. Overall, I feel like his defensive core is still lacking. Um, Offensively, it's very strong. Defensive core still isn't worse, by the way. Like, if his opponent doesn't have anything to break it, it's good. But I feel like if you just have something like, like Kartana could break it pretty well. Any physically offensive grass type is good, as long as I can deal with Togekiss and Jirachi to some extent. Any special attacker that can deal with Regice is also really good, like something, like the Houndoom we saw earlier. Or even, not Lottie, but yeah, actually Houndoom really shits on him. Overall, it's really strong, but its defensive core is just lacking. I'd say it's a solid 3 once again. What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, I think even if they do have the ground, like the triple grounds, like they all do different things.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's that big of a deal. Honestly, like low 2 in my opinion.
Really? I mean, how do they do different things? Like, 2 of them are rockers, right? But like, if you look at them overall, they're all good. Like, Krag is a really good physical wall. Piloswine is a really good physical wall. Claydol is like decent, but it could usually is a physical wall. Like, how do they do different things?
Yeah, no, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
I think it's a few on this one.
I'm gonna give it a 3. All right, wishy-washies. What do you think, Kevin?
Definitely a lot more specialized in terms of like full sand abuse.
Hmm.
It's got like the Hippo Drone Core, which is great. And then you kind of pair that with like Sandforce Mega Chomp, which is also great. You also get like the Spadef boost in Stakataka and Minior, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, like definitely like very weak to like water, especially like a special water type. A lot of physical breakers. not many special breakers besides like maybe Reuniquist and Z Ambipom.
Mhm.
I feel like this is really similar to just a standard like weather draft team where you specialize in like 3 types. But I think it has a lot of potential, but it's just missing out on something. I can't put my hand on what it is.
I can. Obviously, if you're running like a sand team, you're gonna have a lot of ground types, right? So it has drill and Hippowdon. So that's pretty standard. But he took it a step further and also has Garchomp, which it's fine. But then he also has Takataka, which is another. It's not a ground type. It's another like ground steel rock that's physical offensive. I think it's just overall, it's just too much of the same kind of thing. Um, okay, ignoring my game versus him because I don't want to talk about that. Skarmory shits on like Pokemon like Skarmory and any other physically defensive mon that resists like ground and rock, just like or just really resists ground and like it's just really physical offensive. Just shits on him. Um, like if I mean he has Hippo, so that's fine. I guess Mudsdale, Quagsire, Skarmory. I just don't see a way how he can consistently break through those kinds of Pokemon. Um, it is very similar though to the Dragmag kind of thing, where he has so many of the same kind of things, so he kind of breaks through them slowly, and then eventually he'll go to the point where they're weak enough to where one of them can kind of sweep, like Excadrill or something. Overall, I think it's just
you're definitely a lot more reliant on things like Wishy-Washy and to like break specific checks.
Yeah, like all of his high tiered Pokemon are pretty much ground or rock type physical breakers. So I think it's definitely. I honestly want to say it's close to a 5. I'm gonna give. It's still really powerful though. I'm gonna definitely give it a 4. I think.
I think it's a 4.
Yeah.
I think it's a 4 just because of the sheer power.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Inazuma Cinders. I think this team is very similar to the ones we said before in the fact that it depends on how the coach uses it. At a first glance, it looks kind of cool, right? You have Tapu Koko, Cinderace, Blastoise could be cool, Shaman, Silvally. Just like it looks like a very good. It's definitely really good in VGC. Let me say that right now. Similar to Kevin's, it would be a very solid VGC team. But in singles, it seems really strong. But if you look into it further, you'd be like, okay, there's no real core. I mean, of course, it's Fairy Dragon Steel is like Steelix, which is good, and then Drampa and Gramble, which is subpar. Let me just say Gramble's actually really underrated. I really like Gramble. Savali's also really good in his core. Firewater Grass, he has Shaman, which can be a bit more defensive. Blastoise can as well. Cinderace, not really. He has good offensive pressure with Coco plus Cinderace plus Game Bread. But overall, I don't know. It's really tough. It's like where a lot of teams where you get a first glance at it, and it's like, oh, it looks kind of cool, but then you think about it more deeply, it's like, oh, it's bad. This team, you get a first glance, it's like, okay, it's cool. Then you look deeply, and it's like, okay, it's not that good. But then once again, you kind of like, wait, this might work. I just get a feeling from that
I think
team.
you're missing out on one thing.
What?
I think you're missing out on the Thievul Coco combo because Thievul has Unburden.
Right. That is a good point. Thievul does have Unburden. But once again, I mean, it's a Thievul. Wait, it's a Z user, bro. How's it gonna unburden with that?
Yeah, no, I mean, it can do both because it also has Stake Out, which is double damage on the switch out or double damage on a switch in.
That's a pretty cool ability.
Even if you try to switch on a Z move, like you're taking heavy amounts of damage.
Yeah, that
like, even if it is a Thievul.
Yeah, that Thievul's gonna shit on your team. I'm just gonna say that right now.
Yeah, shut up.
Luckily, I have 4 just sound good. So what do you think it is?
I think it's another 2 or 3. Like, depends on the coach, but definitely has potential.
Yeah, I feel like it's just a really hard team for me to rank, just because it's just.
I want to give it 2, just because like Coco and like Medicham.
Game Bread.
Yeah, Coco, Game Bread, but also like in terms of defensively, like it's not bad at all. Because don't forget, Gramble also has Intimidate.
It does have Intimidate. Gramble's kind of cool. It has a lot of good coverage and stuff. I like Gramble a lot, actually. I feel like it's really hard to rank just because, like, out of every team we've seen so far, I feel like this is the most just, like, straight-up unconventional team. Would you agree?
I guess so.
Yeah. So we're saying... I feel like it's a high 3. I mean, once again, it depends on the coach, so... Right?
I want to give it a 2.
Really? Okay, I'll give it 2. It's kind of hard to rank this team, but I'll give it a 2 if you want. Alright, Buffalo Bidoofs. What do you think, Kevin?
Okay, yeah. So this team is kind of weird. I, I I think it's got a lot of like working parts. You have like the Lele and Latias core, with the psychic train boosted moves and stuff.
Hmm.
And then you have the Polytoad and Perk core, which is also great because you have like speed control with rain and great breakers in general. Then you have like the Arbok and Alolan Persian pair, which at first is really weird, but like both of those mons have really good move pools,
Hmm.
like, especially with Persian, because you can run physical and special, and it gets like surprisingly a lot of like good typings and moves on like both the physical and special category.
Hmm.
So great Z move here, especially with like maybe Z party shot as well. And in terms of Arbok, like I feel like that was kind of like a sleeper like tier 5 pick because you get the intimidate and glare, but it also has like a good like move pool as well. I guess it's got like Quake, Elemental Fangs. You kind of have to run Gunk Shot, but you know I don't know. Like this team, like it's got good things going for it, but I don't think those good things mix that well.
Yeah, I agree. I agree completely.
Yeah.
I think that's going best for it is well, it's kind of cool that he has his fairy dragon steel. Well, mainly the fairy dragon part is like a fairy psychic and a dragon psychic, and the fairy psychic is Lele. So you're like, okay, they pair really well. But then, of course, Latias unfortunately doesn't get the boost in Psychic Terrain because it is levitating. Let's use like gravity or something. Um, yeah, Fairy Dragon Steel Core is actually it's pretty good. I mean, Lottie can be really bulky, Lele not so much. Um, his in terms of like a ghost resist, it's Persian and that's it. And I guess
Persian,
Explode
I guess kind of X-Blood.
technically.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say. Um, Thunderous is really cool. I feel like Thunderous plus like a Scarf Lele pairs really well offensively. Physical breakers, he has
Persian Rain as well.
yeah, he has rain for physical breakers. Um, his speed tiers are decent. They're pretty good. I feel like his speed tier is actually pretty nice. And his overall breakers kind of synergize well, but at the same time kind of don't. If I were to fix his team, I'd say, I mean, it's obviously more hyper offensive. I'd say, I don't really know what Xbox doing there because he already has like his first two mons are good special breakers. I mean, Latias isn't as much as a breaker. I mean, this is like a calm mindset. I feel like Xcloud should be replaced over with like another just strong physical break on its own, and maybe it could pair well with something like the first core or the rain core. Maybe it could be something like a rain mon that's physically offensive, like a Barraskewda, or it could be a Pokemon that pairs well with those first three that's physically offensive, like maybe something like let's see, maybe an Ice Resist would be nice. So I guess like a physically offensive step, but we do have Cavalion, so maybe not. Maybe something more like I think like a Lando. I've been saying Lando a lot. I think Lando pairs pretty well.
I mean, Lando's a cheap answer.
Fine, fine. You're right. You're right. I'll get a better answer. Okay, what do we need? We need a physically offensive Pokemon. It's got to be.
I think something like Kabutops.
Well, no, I'm saying no. I'm saying so. Yeah, something that synergizes with the rain, or it could be something that synergizes with the first core. I think could work as well.
Sure.
It's gonna be physically offensive. It doesn't have to be too fast. You know what? I think if it is, no, wait, that's not true. Shoot, it's hard to think. I'd say, what typing would it be? I guess a good grass type wouldn't be bad. I mean, he has Domies. Oh, you know what? A dark offensive physical mon would be better. So like something like,
Like Persian, you think?
no, Persian, like no, actually like a dark type that's physically offensive.
Okay.
So I would say Bisharp, but it could be fat. Actually, I like Bisharp. Sucker Punch gets in the way of Lily's terrain. Shoot. What's okay, dark types. I can't think of any dark type Pokemon. I'm looking this up because I said I'd do it. I'm doing it. Wait, why didn't that work? Hey, how about Honchkrow, bro?
Oh, true. Because you get the flying type as well.
Yeah, Honchkrow. Let's go. Honchkrow, is there a better one?
No, I like Honchkrow.
I mean, I do
Pretty
too.
dope.
Darkrai's pretty nice, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, of course. Alright.
Oh, Weavile! Weavile's perfect.
Oh, true.
Why did I think of Weavile? That's
Yeah, I mean,
perfect.
you get the ice shard, like.
Yeah, I mean, he is a neat ice shard. Like he already used so many fast Pokemon, so it's whatever.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay. What are you rating it?
I think it's a 3.
Okay.
You agree with that?
Yeah.
All right. I guess we're done then, right? Dude, I'm mentally burned out from all that. All right. You have anything else to say? I guess we're good, right?
I think we're good as well.
All right. Thank you all for watching this video. It's been a lot longer than I wanted it to. It was fun for the first few minutes. Yeah, I'll obviously put timestamps in the description. Hopefully, you guys will be able to find your team so you can see that specifically. Hope you have enjoyed this video, and yeah, I'll see y'all later. Good luck in the FBA. Bye bye.